How's it going? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any other week, if you want a chance to one of your questions being answered, make sure you drop a comment down below with your question, and I'll try to answer each and every question. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first question of the week, and it is, why do technicians dislike warranty work? And the answer is pretty simple, although I'll go ahead and try to explain it the best as possible to you. So warranty work, simply cut out, flat and straight, does not pay well. At least on the Honda side, other manufacturers may pay better or even worse than Honda. And I have a couple issues with them because A, we spend a lot of time sometimes pinpointing and diagnosing a certain issue that we do not get paid fairly for. Sometimes there'll be some straight time, sometimes management will step in, but oftentimes you spend maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes just test driving a vehicle, then you have to put on your rack, then you have to, try to figure out the noise and such things like that don't get, you don't get paid for. And then once you figure out whatever it is, oftentimes we may not have the part in stock. So at that point, we have to pull the vehicle back out and then bring it back in. At that point, what I like to do is test drive it again, make sure I can verify and still there, nothing else has appeared since the last time the vehicle was in. At that point, let's say it's something suspension related. Oftentimes here, at least in this area, we have a lot of rust issues. So if it's a newer car, it's not so bad, but sometimes they have these extended warranties or stuff that is covered for a very long time, like emission stuff, sometimes covered up to 15 years, 150K. And you could understand a cat at 15 years old or 150,000 miles or whatnot, let's say, for example, it's not going to be in the best of shape. Those bolts are going to be basically, diminished down to nothing and going to be very, very frustrating to get out. So that's where all this, stuff starts to kind of get frustrating for us. Now, warranty times don't pay, anything that should be, in my opinion, especially when you consider the amount of diag time. And, again, if you live in a rust-prone area, the rust that you have to deal with, a cat sometimes will pay like 2 hours, and sometimes it'll take you 3 or 4. And that's not counting for, diagnosing it, which is pretty simple. But then you have to clear the light, test drive it, make sure everything's okay, and all that stuff. So that's pretty straightforward. Oftentimes, stuff will get goodwilled. Now, when stuff gets goodwilled, that means Honda's, paying the bill or paying a partial part of that bill. But the technician still gets paid warranty time. So again, typically this will be on cars that are out of warranty, so higher mileage stuff, and we're gonna get paid warranty time on something that at the factory, when this time is, timed and accounted for and, planned or whatever, in a perfect scenario where no other outside environments take place, then yes, in the factory, in the control environment, that's going to go pretty smoothly. In a real world-like environment, it almost never goes as smoothly as it does at that time where they record this and, get that recommended time for us. So just a couple of things. If you have, issues, obviously the technician should be taking care of it for you. They should not tell you, well, I don't get paid for that. I don't want to hear that. That comes with, the good and the bad part of the job. Unfortunately, that stuff is the bad, but oftentimes we do get good stuff as well. So, but, sometimes the customers do get frustrated, and I get that, technicians as well, service advisors, management, stuff like that. But, biggest part of technicians not liking doing warranty work is because it simply just doesn't pay, like other stuff does. And again, the rust is just really, especially in this area, this really the part that discourages a lot. We have to buy special tools, special equipment, and, obviously it takes longer than the recorded time and what we're actually going to get paid for. So hopefully that answers this question for you. All right, so this question came up this week on a passport video on the 2026 model year that just released. And what I did in that video was I mentioned all the expected maintenance minders, which some people were on board with. A lot of people said I was being too aggressive with my maintenance recommendations, but I follow these personally and I practice what I preach. So this is what I recommend, and what's seen in the field sometimes doesn't add up to Honda recommends. So real world experience, in my opinion, trumps anything that Honda puts out there. Now you could sure, go by those recommendations, although oftentimes we see, stuff adding up and causing issues down the line using those recommendations, but you sure as well can. Anyways, one of the things that came up was the price of timing belt costs. So timing belt packages at a dealer are very expensive. You don't have to get them done at a dealer, although if you go to an outside mechanic, I highly recommend you using an OEM parts only, not those ASIN kits. They could be okay, but sometimes they're not exactly the same quality as a Honda stuff. But anyways, moving on from that, this is the stuff that you could expect to pay for at a Honda dealer on the old J Series versus the current J Series being implemented into various cars, including the Tailx Type S, the MDX Type S, the 23 and newer Pilot, the 26 and newer Passport, and so forth. I'm sure the new Odyssey, the new Ridgeline and stuff will be getting this engine, as well as the base MDX at some point. So anyways, we'll start off with the old J Series stuff, and these prices are list prices, and this is at our dealer's labor rate. So now, depending where you are, you may have a higher labor rate or a lower labor rate. So this is going to be what we charge at my dealer. So your timing belt is going to be $155.42, and we put all this in a package, but I'm going to break it down for you. So the timing belt tensioner, which I do not give an option of not doing on these cars, because 99 out of 100 times, if they actually make it to the interval, they are going to be leaking. Now, there's no way that it's going to get to the next time belt interval without causing some sort of issue, so I do not give an option. Additionally, if the time belt tensioner is making noise, I may throw an adjuster price in there just in case it is damaged when I get there. But so time belt tensioner, $274.55. Now, this is the hydraulic tensioner for the timing belt. The water pump is going to come in at $250.70. The alternator for the accessories is going to be the belt for the accessories, the alternator, compressor, stuff like that, is going to be $65.48, and a gallon of coolant, $21.75. Now you put all that together, it's $767.90 plus 6 hours of labor, which is the industry standard across the country for this, at $189. Again, the labor rate at my dealer is $1,134. You add those two together, we're at $1,901 plus 7% sales tax in New Jersey for $133.13. We're coming at a grand total of $2,034.13 for the old generation J Series. So moving on, the new generation J Series here. So we have the time belt, $192.57. Then we do not have the tensioner. The tensioner actually saves you some money because it is spring-loaded. From what I can see, it is not hydraulic, so it should not cause us any issues. Obviously, once we get to do one, we will see, but I don't foresee it having any issues. Honda has used this style tensioner before in some of the D Series, H Series, and F Series, stuff like that, the B Series. So it should be good. If it does end up needing it, it's $378.75, but I excluded it out of the grand total for now because I don't see it needing it. So we're at $192.57 for the belt. Water pump's going to be $290.75, which is about $40 more than the old style belt. The old style water pump. The belt for the alternator is $51. So alternator, compressor, accessory belt, whatever you want to call it. And then a gallon of coolant, the same $21.75. So the parts total without that tensioner is $556.07, which is cheaper than at $767.90. Now, labor rate is going to be 8 hours on this because it's going to take more work. You need a special tool to hold both camshafts. You got to put it on the front head, then move it to the back head. So it's going to be more labor. 8 hours labor at $189 is going to be $1,512. So obviously that is a big chunk of the process here and of the bill. So you add those two together, we're talking $2,068.07 plus 7% sales tax in New Jersey, $144.76, coming in at a grand total of $2,212.83. Now, I stated in that video that it would be around $2,500, so maybe I overshot it a little bit, but by the time these vehicles end up needing a timing belt with increasing labor rates, it's probably going to be around $2,500 at that time. Now, obviously, I may be wrong there, but regardless, you're paying $2,000 for the both of them with a difference of about $180, $170 or so on the new one being more than the old one. So not a huge difference, but again, these cars are getting more complex and things are changing, things are evolving, and we just need to adjust accordingly as well. So Hopefully that answers the question for you. I know, it's a lot of numbers and stuff like that, but I wanted to be as informative as possible. I like to have as much details as possible for everybody, so you guys, the consumer, could make an informed and accurate decision when purchasing these vehicles, because maintenance is a big key that the sales department loves to leave out of it. So once again, hopefully that's the question for you. All right, next question is 1.5T. Is replacing the radiator with a thicker core, something that's going to keep the car a little bit cooler, a good idea, or a thermostat that opens up at a lower temperature? So the thermostat, I'll start off the bat saying it's a bad idea, because 9 out of 10 times that's going to give you a code for coolant malfunctioning, not working properly. There's 2 sensors on these engines, and this is typical across Hondas. One somewhere around the thermostat housing, and then another one at the radiator, and they work together to make sure everything in a coolant system is working properly. So I would say no, it's a bad idea. You're gonna get an engine light most likely, and just stay away from it. Now, a radiator is not a bad idea per se if they make one for the vehicle. Now, Accords and Civics, probably because people modify them. CRVs, the ADX, stuff like that, maybe not. And yes, we're talking the ADX, the new one that just released. And I foresee that happening, in the future being an issue. I just released a short this week on a 2023 CRV, 96,000 miles with a blown head gasket. That was my most recent short, if you want to go ahead and check that out. So I would say, use high octane fuel, a consistent maintenance, 3,000 to 5,000 mile oil changes on the turbo engines. I like to do 3,000 miles personally. High octane fuel again, stay on top of the coolant level, maintenance, and that's your best bet here. Now, in the event that the head gasket does blow, at that time, I would replace the OEM head gasket with another one and use ARP head studs, and that's your best approach here, and my personal opinion. So hopefully that answers the question for you. Next question. Binding and kind of jerking and hesitation while making tight turns on a all-drive Honda vehicle. So back in the day, back in the 08, 09 or so, there was actually service bulletin for the CRVs for an issue that we kind of nicknamed, I don't know if it was in a bulletin or not, the moan and groan. And what we had to do was essentially change out the differential fluid and do some figure eights to kind of clean up those clutches there. Now, I don't see this too often on these newer vehicles, but I have seen it a handful of times on like some Pilots, and stuff like that, Pilots Ridgelines. So yeah, if you're having that, doing extremely tight turns like parallel parking, for instance, or making some sort of a K-turn or U-turn or something like that, and you're feeling kind of a binding, almost feels like a go-kart type of feel with some moans and groans and some noises and stuff like that, chances are that may be your issue. If you haven't done your differential fluid in a while, it'd probably be a good idea to do so. You may have to do it twice, drain it, fill it, do some figure eights, drain it again, fill it one more time. And usually 9 out of 10 times, unless if it's really, really bad, that absolutely fixes this. So hopefully that answers the question for you. And last but not least, question of the week. And once again, if you want a chance to wait questions being answered, make sure you drop a comment down below. So the question is trying to make sense of Honda's maintenance minder algorithm. So in the 2026 pilot video that I did, once again, just this week, I recommended changing the oil every 3,000 miles. And a few people came at me saying that's way too early. Now, that may be, but again, I practice what I preach, and what I should have said is probably between every 3,000 to 5,000 miles would have been more reasonable, but we all make mistakes. But anyways, moving on from that, I'm still a firm believer of 3,000 mile oil changes. Now, that's what I do on my cars. You could sure do whatever you want on your cars. That's fine. It's your car, your decision. Now, Honda's maintenance minder up to recently oftentimes has went 7, 8, 9, 10,000 miles. So I can see where people are coming from, including my TLX Type S. This thing has gone 3 oil changes, 3,000 mile interval, so we're talking 9,000 miles or so of, the maintenance light being reset that one time. Now, I didn't reset it at every oil change interval on purpose because I'm making a video to kind of prove a point that it's going 10,000 miles. Now, the car is turbocharged, it's modified, and even if it wasn't modified, which the algorithm doesn't account for, it's still a turbocharged vehicle. That oil runs very, very hot compared to a naturally aspirated vehicle. Although on the newer cars, for instance, the new Pilot, the new MDX, I have often seen oil changes being requested right around 3,000 to 4,000 miles, which I actually made a short on recently as well with a 2025 MDX that came in with 3,900 miles, 5% oil life left, wanting an oil change. So that kind of proves my point that yes, it should be in between 3,000 to 5,000 miles, not 7,500 to 10,000 like some people suggested. Now, again, if the maintenance miner doesn't come on until that mileage, which I highly doubt, go ahead, it's your car, do what you got to do. But in my personal opinion, 3, 4, 5,000 mile max oil change intervals. And I think that works out best in the long run. Now, when these issues come about, oil burning and stuff like that, the issue starts on day one when these cars just first start being driven. Now, when you don't change your oil, it may not seem like anything is happening until it's too late. And we're talking probably 90, 100, 110,000 miles. Now, people typically nowadays lease cars, so they never see a car get to that until the second owner, which is what the second owner, they end up paying the price for the first owner's mistakes. Now, again, everyone is free to do what they want, but I'm going to be doing 3,000 mile oil changes and continue to do that on all my cars. And that's what I recommend on my customers' cars, especially if they're turbocharged and even more so if it's modified. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit. Again, I don't know why or Honda changed the algorithm. It definitely seems to be way more on the aggressive side, which I personally like, versus a couple years ago and even a decade or so. But they did, it seems like whatever they did, changed it, made it more aggressive. And we actually get some customers complaining that, hey, why is my oil light on so quickly? My old car never came on so quickly. So, I mean, again, I can't answer that for Honda, but it definitely seems evident that Honda changed something to make these oil changes a little bit more frequently. So hopefully that answers this question for you, and I'll catch everyone on the next one.